Yesterday, when we began talking about the reconciliation infrastructure bill, the details were sparse. Like we basically knew that there was going to be an expansion of Medicaid to include dental, vision, and hearing, that sort of thing. And aside from that, there really wasn't much. Well, hold on to your butts because now the details are coming in. Although I want you to bear in mind as we go through these, and there are a lot, these are the things that we are being told will be in it initially. That doesn't mean that they're definitely gonna be in it. And it certainly doesn't mean that they will make it through the process of negotiation, because while reconciliation means that this bill can pass with just 50 votes, that does mean that you'll need all 50 Democrats, because there's not gonna be one, almost swore, there's not gonna be one Republican who's gonna sign on to this. And unfortunately, some of the Democrats are basically Republicans. So yeah, we're gonna give you a lot of good details here. Maybe some or most will make it through, but there's also gonna be Kirsten Sinema, and there's gonna be Joe Manchin, and there's gonna be John Tester, and there's gonna be a number of others. So bear that in mind. But that said, here is some of what is making into the reconciliation bill, which you'll recall Chuck Schumer told us is gonna have all the stuff that Biden wanted. So let's see if it does. So it's gonna have tax credits. It extends the child tax credit, which is actually just rolling out today, right now, under the American Rescue Plan, the earned income tax credit, and separate child and dependent care tax credit. So that's part of the human infrastructure. In the area of climate change, it creates 80% clean electricity and 50% economy-wide carbon emission standards by 2030. More funding for a clean energy standard, clean energy and vehicle tax incentives, climate smart agriculture, wildfire prevention, federal procurement of clean technologies, and weatherization and electrification of buildings, which is actually a component of Jamal Bowman's plan for schools. It will also propose a new methane reduction and polluter import fees to increase our emissions reductions. So there had previously been higher regulations on the spreading, whether accidental or intentional, of methane. Those were destroyed in the latter years of the Obama administration. Obviously, Trump didn't do anything about it, so that would be good. We have other areas we'll turn to, but so far we got some tax credits. We've got some stuff having to do with climate change. Viviana, what do you think?
I just like how politicians like Bernie Sanders, they just pile it on. You want that? Here's everything we want. And we all know that we're not gonna get everything, but you know what? Maybe we'll get something. And you gotta try. And in that negotiation window, some of those little things squeak by. I think the child tax credit is huge. Obviously, it's only a temporary thing right now. I know Representative Katie Porter's really been out on her soapbox talking about how important it is, how millions of kids will be lifted out of poverty. And she's also trying to sort of challenge how single parents are being sort of regulated in that as well. So they're not able to get as much at this moment. So this is really important stuff. Family leave. I mean, this is all developed nations are doing this. So it really is an exciting time that it's even on the table, but it is disheartening to know for a fact that a lot of this is gonna hit the cutting room floor.
Potentially. I'm glad that you mentioned the extension of the child tax credit. I know that the right is, even as we're broadcasting this, attacking it. Fox News was going hard against the child tax credit right now, which I just love. Like, of course they don't like it. It costs money, and money that the government spends needs to come back in the form of taxes, and they're against that. Even though, it's good, so many conservative families are going to be aided massively by this. They desperately need that help. They're watching Fox knowing that they need that help, desperately wanting that help, but being brainwashed and thinking, oh yeah, no, these millionaires are telling me I don't deserve this tiny tax credit, as I'm desperately trying to get my kids to school and fed and all that.
But that's the sort of thing that. Yeah, I was just gonna say capitalism has really put a lot of shame in being poor, a lot of shame in needing help. And we need to get away from that. We need to start acknowledging that everybody struggles. We need to acknowledge that this country and capitalism in general, predatory capitalism, keeps people down. I mean, these kids that this child tax credit is gonna help, it will change their life. It is a difference of putting food on the table, clothes on their back. I mean, basic necessities. And you're right, John, those conservatives families, and especially the Christian conservatives, these are pro-life people. I mean, think of the children. Can't we just think of the children?
Yeah, and then once people get used to this, then let the Republicans try to take it away later. But they might. Anyway, other things included in the infrastructure bill, or at least that will be included supposedly: universal pre-K for 3- and 4-year-old children, childcare and community college, increased funding for HBCUs, Pell Grants, paid family and medical leave, nutrition assistance, and affordable housing. So that one bullet point has a lot of different things that were part of Biden's plans. It's 12 weeks, by the way, of comprehensive paid family leave as well as medical leave. So if you're watching from another country, you might think, wait, you guys don't have that? No, we don't have that, but we could. Seems reasonable. We're the best. We're rich. We're number one, but we don't have some of the basic, rights and protections that other countries have. But maybe soon we could with this. Additionally, you have the extension of dental, vision, and hearing benefits under Medicare, which we talked about a moment ago. Also, expanding Medicaid coverage to states that haven't done so yet. So what they mean there basically is that if you're in one of the multiple red states where your Republican governor said, oh, you federal government, you wanna give us free money to insure poor people? No, we don't want your free money, we're not gonna do it. They literally did that, and they've held strong on that for over a decade. Well, this is going to allow people in those states to access the benefits that they should have had for a very long time. So that is certainly good. There's other stuff with housing investments and manufacturing, a bunch of other stuff, but all of this is pretty good. You've got the civilian climate corps that Bernie talked about, tax credits for EVs and clean energy, community-based healthcare. There's a lot of different stuff here. No word yet on the lowering of the age for enrollment in Medicare that had previously been talked about as being in, but I don't see that yet, at least in the proposals I'm looking at. But it's a lot of different stuff. Again, we don't know what's gonna make it through, but it looks pretty good so far.
Yeah, that lowering of the age, that was what Biden and Harris used to get into office. Oh, we're gonna lower it, we're gonna do this and that. But I wanna jump back into pre-K, nutrition assistance, free community college, Pell Grant expansion, all that kind of stuff. I mean, this is the kind of thing that we need to invest in our youth for, because it'll make us competitive with other countries. And educationally, the United States is falling behind. I mean, we are not at the same level of other developed nations, and it seems like a basic thing. All of this seems basic, doesn't it? And we're pandering to these companies. We're willing to pay the price with our lives and our children's lives so that these corporations continue to make money. The pharmaceutical corporations, these private colleges, all of the people who are making student loans. I mean, it's out of control.
Yeah. And when you look at this, like this is all stuff that is consistent with what Democrats campaigned on, that Biden had said he would support. People obviously preferred this to 4 more years of Donald Trump. So I don't know, maybe it's radical, but just give it to them. Give them the things that you promised that are highly popular, that would be popular not just amongst your base, but many Republicans would love quite a bit of this. Yeah, I don't know. I don't rule anything out because we live in a crazy country, but I don't think a lot of conservatives are gonna be like, well, I'm about to have a kid, I'm not gonna take my family leave. I will stand on principle against this commie BS. No, they would very much like to be able to be with their kids after they're born and not lose their careers as a result of it.
They'll take the family leave, they'll take a trip to Cancun, and they'll still say it.
Yeah,
they'll still say it.
I feel like that example is Ted Cruz specifically, but I see what you're saying there.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.